Snapshot 23w31a is here, the first one for Minecraft 1.20.2 with new experimental changes to villagers and trading, huge technical changes and a bug fix list of impressive length. My name is Sliced Lime, here as always to show you all the changes. Let's start with the villagers. Curing a zombie villager now only gives a big discount the first time. There's no longer a bonus discount for reinfecting and curing the same villager over and over again. The discount still only applies to the player who cured the villager, so if you're on a server and multiple players want to trade, you still need to reinfect and recure the villagers. There's now also a new experiment in the experiment screen to enable the villager trade rebalance. With this experiment on, some of the trades change, starting in this version with the librarian and wandering trader changes. The changes to librarians mean that librarians from different biome types sell different enchanted books. There's a set of available enchantments for each villager type, and they also have one special enchantment that is only available from master level librarians. Note that the master level enchantments are also lower level than they were before, so you'll need to combine enchantments to get things like maximum level protection. This new setup also means that enchantments for fishing rods, tridents and crossbows can no longer be obtained through trading with villagers. The enchantments sold by desert librarians are fire protection, thorns and infinity, with efficiency 3 as the special book. Savannah librarians sell knockback, curse of binding and the sweeping edge with sharpness 3 as the special book. Plains librarians sell punch, smite and the bane of arthropods with protection 3 as the special book. Taiga librarians have blast protection, fire aspect and flame with fortune 2 as the special book. And snow librarians have aqua affinity, looting and frostwalker as well as silk touch as the special book. There are also the two village types that don't generate naturally, so you'll need to breed villagers to create these types. Jungle village librarians have feather falling, projectile protection and power with unbreaking 2 as the master level book. And swamp librarians have depth strider, respiration and curse of vanishing, as well as mending as the special book. The changes to wandering traders mean that they now have lower prices and a higher limit of each trade in stock, so you can buy more. The wandering trader will now also buy some items. Each of these have a limit of a single trade: a water bottle for 1 emerald, a water or milk bucket for 2 emeralds, a fermented spider eye for 3 emeralds, 4 baked potatoes for 1 emerald, or a hay bale for 1 emerald. Traders will now also sometimes sell 4 trades of 8 logs for 1 emerald, a potion of invisibility for 5 emeralds, and a randomly enchanted iron pickaxe for between 6 and 20 emeralds, depending on the enchant. There's a special section on the Minecraft feedback site collecting feedback about these trading changes, so if you've tried it out and you want to give feedback to the team, head on over to that link. Let's move on to other changes in this version, starting with world generation. Diamond ore is now more common than before low down in the world, where a new medium-sized ore vein of diamonds can now be generated. This new type of ore can be found in a uniform distribution between heights -64 and -4. A bug has also been fixed with world upgrades, where the deep dark biome can now generate in world regions that get filled in underneath an existing world when upgrading a world with the previous world height. Let's talk about some block and item changes. Chorus flowers no longer provide support for hanging blocks underneath them or standing blocks on top of them. Open shulkers no longer transmit redstone power. The hitbox of pink petals now adjusts to the contents, much like sea pickles and candles. And the bug has been fixed that could cause decorated pots and banners to sometimes not have the same data despite being identical, which would prevent banners from stacking. Pick block now also works properly for undecorated decorated pots. Barrier blocks can now be waterlogged by players in creative mode. Just like with leaf blocks and mangrove roots, water does not flow out of waterlogged barriers. Water in barrier blocks can only be placed by players and commands, not by other mechanics like dispensers. In mob news, camels that spawn in villages no longer sometimes spawn inside blocks, and the camel that is laying down will no longer stand up into blocks that would suffocate it. You no longer get slowed down when riding a camel in a 3-block tall area, and no longer crouch while on a camel. Camels no longer indefinitely dash when inside lava. They now stand at an appropriate distance when being tempted, and the location of the camel's ears is now the correct one. Camels, frogs, goats, and sniffers all now panic like other animals even when attached to leads. Speaking of sniffers and leads, sniffers on a lead will no longer dig in the same spot forever, and sniffers no longer sniff out and follow players from extremely far away. Iron Golem spawn rate reduced from every 600 ticks to every 700 ticks in Minecraft 1.19. This has now been fixed, and a similar problem has been fixed for piglins who now barter every 120 ticks again rather than every 121 ticks. Lots of problems with how mobs would look when riding other mobs have also been fixed, most of which were only visible when using commands. In gameplay news, firework explosions now once again cost explosion knockback, and players in creative mode can now swap armor by right-clicking to use the item selected on the hotbar, even if the current armor item has Curse of Binding. Using a non-breaking space character as a book title no longer creates a book with a blank title. Values like the local difficulty, which are not known to the client when playing on a server, now show up as question marks on the F3 screen instead of showing the wrong values. In Sculk news, the Sculk sensor range has now been fixed to be based on a discrete number of blocks, which means that there's no place where the signal can differ from different places in the same block space. Sculk sensors now also recognize a totem of undying activating, a witch drinking a potion, a turtle clearing away sand, and a camel standing up, sitting down, or dashing. Some advancement changes too. The Smithing with Style advancement now gives 150 XP as a reward when completed. The Glow and Behold advancement is no longer granted when interacting with an empty sign while holding glow ink. In visual news, when you have the F3+B hitbox mode on, you'll now see the attachment point of any passenger. Decorated pots no longer render blank for 1 frame after being placed. Barrier blocks no longer produce particles when you fall on them or brush them. Player swimming animations are no longer jittery when watching other players swim in multiplayer. One of the pink petal stems has been fixed, and the bamboo fence gates now use the right textures. Z-fighting glitches have been fixed around the saddle and legs of sitting camels and on bamboo rafts next to slab height block surfaces. In user interface news, a bug has been fixed that made it impossible to change the name of something in an anvil after resizing the Minecraft window. The player model in the inventory now renders centered and contained to the black box for the character. The Pig Step music disc is now in the right location in the creative inventory, and decorated pots now have a tooltip in the creative inventory. Bamboo fences and fence gates are now grouped with the other fences and fence gates in the crafting table, and shift-clicking items into the smithing table now works properly even for custom recipes. The lapis icon outline is now the same in the enchanting table and the smithing table, and the colors of signs now look the same in the world and when editing the sign. Opening a chest raft inventory now says the correct title at the top. The telemetry data collection screen now has a button that links to the Microsoft privacy statement. The scroll bar for chat now once again shows up. Scroll functionality on Mac has been fixed, several tooltips have been updated to the new design, and the narrator now narrates experimental worlds properly on the world selection screen. When editing text, holding shift and navigating with the arrow keys now properly scrolls the text. In sound news, placing a block against a waxed sign now properly makes a sound. Sponges have their sound back for absorbing water, which now also has a subtitle. Sponge sucks. Warped and crimson hanging signs now use sounds based on the stripped stem sounds rather than the plank sounds. Camels now make the sand step sound when walking on suspicious sand, and baby camels laying down and getting up now have a baby pitch. In performance news, the chunk loading of the game has been optimized, especially in multiplayer. This improves the loading into the world and new dimensions, and prevents the bug where the player seems to be falling through the world. This also means that clients with low bandwidth will not experience disconnections and will no longer need to wait for as long to play while loading. In stability news, a memory leak has been fixed and a problem with upgrading structure blocks including signs causing the text to vanish has been fixed. In technical news, the last 50 commands you've used are now saved across sessions and worlds. You can access them like usual by pressing up in the chat. Regular chat is only saved in the context of the same game session, so leaving a server or world clears it. Recent commands are stored in a new file in the game folder called commands_history.txt. In datapack news, the pack version is now 16. Datapack version 16 contains a huge number of news, including a random command, function macros, execute if function, and return run commands. A separate video about this pack version will be up on the channel shortly. The Resource Pack version is also 16 now, which also comes with some huge changes to the way Resource Packs represent sprites for the user interface. Again, there will be a separate video about the changes in Resource Pack version 16. Just like world files previously, both data and resource packs now detect symbolic links used. If you add such a pack, the game will now warn, and packs with disallowed symbolic links will not be visible in the lists of available packs. To allow a certain symbolic link, add it to the list of allowed links. In news that might be interesting for modders, the network protocol has been changed to include a new configuration phase. This is part of ongoing work to enable more data-driven features in the future. For details, see the changelog on screen. And finally, the Minecraft dedicated server has a new option in the server.properties file called log IPs. The default value is true, and if you set it to false, that will prevent player IPs from being included in the log file when players join the game. And that's all for this snapshot. My name is Sly Slime. Stay tuned for videos about data pack and resource pack changes. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.